Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Right, so I've got someone with me today. This is my buddy Chris. The reason why he's here is I've wanted to do this for a very long time. I've wanted to introduce someone who doesn't play Warcry at all, kind of see how he is throwing him straight into the deep end of the game almost, and really getting an outsider's point of view on Warcry, on the game itself, on how it plays, and seeing what they think about it. So yeah, that's why Chris is here. He's an old friend of mine. We've been playing what for 15 years or something.
Something. Bit too very long, but something
Very,
like that.
very long time.
Very
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
It feels
yeah.
like a
And we played all
lifetime.
sorts of things, right? Played Age of Sigmar, played
Yeah,
Fantasy, all
did
this kind of thing.
everything.
Yeah, everything under the sun. But he's been interested in the smaller skirmish size games recently. In our playgroup, it's basically the two options are Warcry and Kill Team. So
Yeah, basically.
yeah.
A bit
So
of Blood Bowl.
yeah, and Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is also the third option.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what I did, right? You guys know that I went out to an event. We went up to Warhammer World. I dragged Chris along with me. He wanted to watch some games, and he did. So yeah, we're here to see what he thinks as a complete fresh eyes into the game. Yeah, just to see what he thinks. Okay, everybody, we did it. We absolutely smashed it last year. We hit that 3,000 subscriber goal. Let's do it again this year. We're going for 5K. All you need to do is like and subscribe. And in fact, no, you don't need to subscribe. What I would like you to do now, after you finish watching this video, I've got a massive playlist of all sorts of things Warcry. Check out one of those videos and see if that's what you like. But if you want to throw some more support my way, you can join me here as a member. You can join me over on Patreon. You can join my Discord. Links for that are going to be down in the description below. Either way, you get to see stuff before it's released. You get to have a say into the kind of content that I create in the future. That's it from me for now. Let's get back to the video. So, Chris, if you want to talk about first a little bit about like what you've been up to in terms of your hobby, like 15 years, right? So, what kind of things do you play? What have you been up to?
I mean, as Aiden said, we've known each other for a long time. We met at a Games Workshop, so that's where kind of I've started my hobby career, let's say. Met Aiden, a group of our mates, Charles, who I believe has been on the channel as well. And yeah, we've played 40k, old school fantasy. We've deviled in Gothic, Epic, all these old games, Age of Sigmar. And yeah, we've knocked out the park. We've gone to tournaments. My hobby career, if you want to call it that, we did go to a lot of Fauna Skulls.
A lot of Throne of Skulls, yeah.
A lot of Fauna Skulls. Yeah, we will. I would say I'm a competitive gamer for sure, but I like to have fun. I know it doesn't really sound like a mix as well, but yeah, I'm there for good fun, good time. But yeah, obviously, Aiton has yapped at me for a very long time about trying a smaller skirmish game. We have another mate of ours who's very good at Kill Team. So yeah, we've been obviously around them long enough as good friends to be kind of trying to get us myself dragged into it. But yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't got time to really paint any more 2,000 points 40k army. I love the lore, love the hobby, will never get old of it, but I'm sure as Aiton will probably also confirm is that painting 2,000 points is just...
It's too much. It's way too much, right? I mean, because we used to be we've talked about this before. Me and Charles have talked about this. We used to be the sweatiest of try-hard tournament players. Like, wow,
Oh, boy.
it was crazy. So we would basically, right, when you have it's a bit different when you got a Games Workshop next to you, and this is a 10-year-old Games Workshop right now. 10 years ago, Games Workshop were more like hobby spaces where you could go, you could get games in, you could like do like proper tournament testing if you really wanted to. Nowadays, they've kind of pared that back, and it's more of you're going to go and buy your stuff, and they want you to get out. But yeah,
we had a lot more time for gaming in general, I find.
We did. Yeah, we totally. Like, this is before we were married and had children.
Yeah, this was before marriage and kids and dogs and houses and everything. So there was a lot more time to paint and play and build and whatnot. And it was fantastic. And I think, to be honest, once Games Workshops near us closed, it kind of stopped the gaming aspect. We all stayed friends, obviously, but being able to play, like, I've gone to a few Age of Sigma events. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but it kind of links in. I've played a lot of Age of Sigma just before 4th edition. I went
Yeah.
up to some events at Warhammer World with another friend of ours. But I literally would turn up and that would be my 5 games of the year done, and that was
Yeah.
it.
No, that's
And
yes.
it's enjoyable because you build your arm, you go play it. But I'm going to an event, playing the list the first time in an event. I know it's silly, but it just getting games in is just difficult. I find you need a lot of games to stay in the loop with these bigger games. 40k, for example, and Age of Sigma. Age of Sigma, I think, is a bit of a different subject, but 40k especially, we were very sweaty, as Aiden said. But it came at a point where there was too many rules,
Yeah.
too many books. Every
And they were
week was
changing, right?
something.
They were changing every
Oh,
3 months, every 6 months. There'd be an update, something would happen,
yeah,
something
yeah.
would be released, and you just can't keep on top of it if you're not
Can't,
playing every week. And
can't.
that's what we were doing back in the day.
Yeah,
Like every week, we were at Games Workshop and we were playing games. Like
yeah.
we would play like 3-4 games of either 40k, Age of Sigmar Fantasy, whatever a week, and that's enough to stay on top of it. But now we
Redesign
just
the
can't do it.
meta. Redesign the meta back then, where now
Well,
we are
we
just
would
the
end up
slaves
taking.
to meta.
Yeah, God, I
So,
remember because we'd have like a gaming group of about 12 people, and we
wow,
would
that
take 12 people up to these events at Warhammer World. So,
100%.
yeah, so we would be like a fifth of the, a fifth of the field.
We
So,
controlled the tournament just due to
basically, yeah,
numbers. So it was great. Don't
it
get
was
me
good. It was
wrong.
fun.
But as Aiton said, I've heard of Warcry obviously
Mm.
anyway, and obviously being good friends with Aiton and seeing him being successful here and through tournaments. You know what? I thought it's worth a goal and looking at what Warcry is about. I've read the rules pack. Aiton has many times
Mm.
tried getting me into it, and I've kind of just part it off in the nicest way possible. It not in a way that I'm not interested, but I never thought skirmish games are really my cup of tea, if you want to
Yes.
call it that. But as life has gone on, less hobby time, you kind of and you don't want to leave the hobby, right? So I haven't got time to necessarily do a 40k army or Age of Sigma or whatnot, but I still want to do the hobby. I still want to be involved. I still want to play games. It's still an important part of my socializing and etc. But yeah, Aiden basically said, "Yo, I've got space in the car. I'm
Yeah,
driving past you to Nottingham, so you're
like the
getting
good
in."
old days, like the good old days.
So yeah, I tagged along, and I'm sure I'll go in depth about what I found about the game. But yeah, generally, we've been playing a long time, very sweaty, but now we're here as old men to play a bit of Warcry, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, so I took you to the event. This was
Yeah,
like, I want to be clear. This is basically the first you'd ever seen of this game being played.
the first, yeah, I've watched a few back reps online, as I said, when I've tried kind of looking into it,
Mm.
but all on tabletop simulator. I
It's
don't
not the
think
same.
that it doesn't give you any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't give you the real feeling of playing
Yeah,
the game.
it's not a fair
Like,
representation of what the
yeah,
game is.
unless you know how to play and you've played it many times and you just play that to kind of develop your list and practice, I think that's one thing. But for someone new like myself who's never seen a proper game played in person, it doesn't give you the right feel
Mm.
necessarily. But that's not because of anyone's fault or nothing. That's just
That's just the
you need
way
to
it
see the
is.
game in person, basically. So yeah, I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen a game or anything.
And so I was there with a bunch of buddies there. Charles was there. You shadowed a
Yeah,
bunch of our games. I
yeah,
was playing math. Like the games that you saw. I mean, I'm actually quite happy that you followed both me and Charles because we had two wildly different war bands, and they
yeah,
both play in wildly different ways. So I feel like between the two of us, you managed to get a fair like
yeah,
idea of the different ways that you can play. And this is all like competitive level playing, right? It's just what you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
But I don't know, you played a lot of different kinds of games, but generally the list will just kind of feel kind of the same, right? If you're playing Age of
yeah,
Sigmar, you got your big guy, you got your
yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
little dudes, and they all just
yeah,
kind of hit each other, and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Basically,
So yeah, from that variety standpoint, what do you think about what you saw?
Well, straight away, I mean, as you're saying there with AOS, and I know I'll keep linking it back, but obviously that's
That's
what
what
I've,
it's
that,
they're
that's,
linked games anyway because they're in the same world, right? So
as you
and Games
said,
Workshop produces them.
yeah, it's true. Same models I assume as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, so as you said, Age of Sigmar is all about big guys and whatnot. You know, you got the same kind of lists, basically play the same, they just look different. With Warcry, straight away off the bat, I realized that even though you might have a small war band or a big war band, they each model has its own part to play. There's not, even though it, well, as Aiden knows and everyone knows, I'm assuming here, his spiders, his little spiders, you think they ain't gonna do nothing, but they're going around doing their thing. And then you've got Charles, who I was watching as well, and he's got these big tanky stormcasts just doing something completely different. And to be honest, it's really good to see that every game I watched, and excuse me for not being using the most terminological words going in Warcry, but everyone's list played differently. It seemed like even people's same factions.
yeah,
Someone made a little tweak, and it still plays completely different, even though it's the same faction. So it was much more in depth, the army building, because I've dabbled looking at lists and building lists even without really not playing, because I just thought, I'll just chuck a few guys in and
mm,
whatnot. But actually, yeah, the difference of lists and play styles in Warcry, I think that was the biggest shock. After 2 games, I watched Charles first playing Stormcast and watched you playing like, I don't even know what to call it, a circus list. I don't know what we're calling
the
it.
spiders, the spiders.
Just the spiders everywhere. 2 complete opposites on a scale. And actually, after the second game, I remember saying to Charles, I think, saying, there's so much to this game that people don't know or don't see until they actually come and see a game.
Yeah,
That's the number one thing I've learned is until you see it played, you can't judge it because it's actually so in depth. And I know for people who are probably competitive players and they're probably thinking, whatever. But it's such an in-depth game. There's so much to it, so much more than you think. In a way, Age of Sigma is a bit more simple, I would say, because it's my big guy was like up to your big guy and who wins. So
yeah.
yeah, it was
Because I
great to
mean,
see.
so Warcry's got a bit of a bad rep, right? People see it as, okay, the rules are really simple, so there can't be a lot of depth to it. It all comes down to dice rolls, and it's all whoever gets lucky basically does what they do. And yeah, I think you touched on it that there are a lot of different ways to play, and there are a lot of different ways to construct your warband to do different things. And the one of the sayings is that the best way to win Warcry is basically not to have to rely on your dice. So,
Yeah,
but the way you do
good
that is
saying.
you do it by positioning, and you do it by model placement and movement and list construction, and all these kind of things that I guess you're thinking about.
To be honest with you, I didn't find like we've all played games in different systems, whatever system it might be, and you go, the dice, you need like good dice rolls.
Mm.
Obviously, you need good dice rolls in any game, including Warcry. But I found that it wasn't in many of AOS games. I'm like, wow, if I just rolled this or this or this, I would have won. In Warcry, yes, you do want to roll good. Of course, you want to roll good. You want them crits, whatever. But to be honest with you, like movement is such a key part,
Mm.
and just being able, and this is from a new player's point,
Yeah.
right? But like I realized how important movement was, how important having like activations over your opponent was. So that comes down to your list building, and I never found really that it was like people were complaining that their dice weren't popping off because it's like, as you said there, as long as your list, the way you build your list, the way you do your stuff, the way you do your activations, actually your dice, and I know you said it, but from a new player's point, that's what kind of I learned was actually you can have rubbish dice rolls, but you might still get away with stuff. Whereas in other games, you can have just one bad dice roll and you've lost the game, and it's not that fun, to be honest with you.
Mm. Good. So
Um,
there's a lot of tactical depth, is what we're saying.
there's more tactical depth than what meets the eye by just
Yeah.
reading the rules. Like
Yeah.
I've read the rules,
You
but
picked up you picked it up, right? You could follow what was going on
By the
Alright.
third game, I kind of understood more or less what. Obviously, I don't know every faction's
Yeah, yeah.
abilities and whatnot, but generally, I understood how the phases worked, about how the dice worked, your royal dice, activations, like the movement and all that. It's all pretty basic. What's great because, as I said, you just play a few games with a mate, and you can pretty much start just understanding it fully. But the difference from just understanding to like mastering is so much to learn there, and you have to know what each player's warbands can do, what just everything. And I know I'm a newer player, so I can't really go into it because I'm
No,
still trying to learn
that's
now.
the point of this talk. It's from a complete like
But
novice, not knowing anything about the game.
if anything from that tournament, and I know I'm going a bit far, but I have a real fire for the game now. I just want to play. I just want to learn. I've been annoying Aiden a lot, asking him pretty basic things, I guess. But there's so much to learn, and I want to learn it. But unfortunately, for a new player, it doesn't get well publicized. So it doesn't get pushed out there to the community. So you don't really feel like if someone says, "Oh, let's go into Warcry," I would be like, ah, but because it's not something that they really push Games Workshop, and I think this is a really big. I don't want to say problem because I don't know the company inside out, but I think they don't give it the love it deserves.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of players that could be brought to Warcry if they simply just kind of gave it a bit more love. I'm
Yes.
not saying something crazy, I'm not saying go out there and release something every month, but just something to get players excited about it because there's a lot of this game feels a niche in the market. It feels like you need something for AOS. I have thousands of models for AOS. I have armies, so I can just play this game, right? But I've never wanted to play it simply because it's not being thrown at me like
Yeah,
play this
exactly,
game,
right?
like
Like when let's put it this way, right? There's a couple of different ways to play Warcry. You can play. There's like a deck of cards that you can draw. You can draw missions from the deck of cards, or you can play match play missions. Match play is what we were playing at Warhammer World, and the deck of card stuff is more on the casual side of things. If you want to do that, right? I think Games Workshop at the moment is putting a lot of emphasis on their match play side of things. So for like Age of Sigmar, they're putting out Meta Watch articles.
Yeah.
40k putting out Meta Watch. Kill Team, they're updating the rules depending on what's happening in events and all this kind of thing. And sure, you get casual players and you get
Of course.
competitive players. But I think the visibility that you get from Games Workshop running events and giving like visible support to a game is invaluable, and that's really what gets people onboarded, because ultimately you just want people to know that the game exists, and the way you do that is you show up at conventions, you have book reviews or something for your rules, you do little videos whenever you do an update to the game, you put a video out and it's like, oh yeah, Warcry, this is what we're doing, this is what we're looking at. They did that back in April. They don't do it for every update, but
Of course.
if you do one every 6 months, you can wheel someone out at least to
Yeah,
come say hi. Like the World Championships of Warhammer, we didn't have Warcry there last year. I don't know if it's going to be there this year. I don't think it's going to be, but that's something that they could do at basically no additional cost. But what it does do is it says, oh look, we got this game, we believe in it, so you guys should at least try that out. And that is a failing on Games Workshop's part. Like I've publicly said this many times before. There's so much more that they could do for not all that much cost to them. Really.
No.
It's like they could have done it, but they haven't. And I remember not last year, but the year before now, when they did Warhammer Fest, right? They did a panel with the guys, and there was 55 players turned up to the event at Warhammer Fest for Warcry, which is the biggest Warcry event that's ever been held. And Games Workshop had to do it because that's how you're going to get people to come and play, is by Games Workshop doing it. If you have like a third-party tournament happening, it's not going to get nearly as much people turning up as Games Workshop just saying, look, here we go, let's go do it. But then anyway, what they said at Warhammer Fest is that they had no idea. They thought it was just like a beer and pretzel super casual game. They didn't know that people wanted to play match play or the appetite of it. And that's why we're kind of in the situation that we are now. Because Games Workshop, yeah, it's a smaller company, but it's a very unwieldy ship to steer. And if they want to change direction on something, it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for people who want to play Warcry, for people who want to play a smaller game, like the only real options, the option that Games Workshop is pushing is Spearhead, but Spearhead is basically Age of Sigmar. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and I said this before, that you could play Spearhead, you get like 4 units, right, or 3 units.
Yeah,
you could replace those with 4 models with the sum wounds and attacks of those units, and that's it. That's all you're doing. You're just pushing models around. And it is Age of Sigmar. It's not the same kind of skirmish style game that people are looking for. And they have to have a game in this niche because, like it or not, Games Workshop is the biggest model company on the planet. And they're not going to give up that player base. So yeah, they could just talk more about it, right? Even if there's no product coming, they could just say, yeah, you know what? We're running events. We're having a good time. We are updating the rules. Here's some videos on it. We're going to be here. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing it. And you're right. It's basically quiet on Games Workshop's part of this. We're lucky that we live in the UK and we have Warhammer World and they do events like every couple of months.
But them events sell out. Like
they do.
That's
they all
the
do.
thing that I know they might not put a lot of tickets up. I mean, I don't know numbers. I'm not saying I do, but they're obviously selling out. They're obviously getting the fully, they had all the tables there when we just went now. March event is sold out.
Very sold out.
And it's, I know in the background there's a lot of talk about other events, right? But at the end of the day, the events they're running, they're getting sold out. So they must know that it's obviously popular. There is obviously demand for the competitive side of it. And it's a game that I think they could just put an article, just get AI to write it if you're that lazy. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Just get a guy, take a few photos. I'll do it for them. I don't even play the game. So I just think that a lot of players who play any Games Workshop games, especially who have AOS armies, feel like just give it a shot, to be honest. I haven't played the game. I've watched the game, and that's given me enough knowledge or enough of a tease, if you want to call it that, into the game, and now I just want to play it because you can get the games done quickly, 45 minutes. I mean, obviously
an hour, more like an hour.
More an hour. Okay, my bad. 45 minutes, about an hour. You can go for an evening with your mates or whatever, whatever you do for gaming. You can get 2-3 games in, and yeah, it's a good time. And if you want to change your war band because you want to play different play style or whatever, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Where AOS, you're buying a whole army, or you need a new, a spearhead box or whatever. So it's just I mean, I feel like it's a great game. It just doesn't get the exposure. And someone who's newer to the game, who got basically dragged along, but I appreciate that. I wouldn't have got into the game if I didn't go. 100%.
I've been bugging you for months. To try and get you to come along to a thing, and it just happened 100%. That you were off. So it was like, all right, you're coming with me.
And don't get me wrong, the community is another great thing. Yes. The guys all up there were welcoming, very, very friendly. Can all chat with them. There was just great people. Great fun. I was completely new, unknown, and everyone was happy to speak to me. Even though I'm a new player, they're still willing to give me fresh advice. So that was a big encouragement where I'm not going to say what tournaments, but I've gone to some tournaments and you get a bit of the sweatiness come out. And I don't know.
Yes. 40k mostly. I remember.
I'm just going to leave it.
The Power of the Machine Spirit Vindicators. I remember that.
So the community is really good as well. What helps everyone's even when it gets to the top players of the tournament, they're still having a great time, having a laugh and all that. So it's great to see that. That's a big thing as well. And we have a world champion. I could speak to a champion, so it does help as well.
The UK world champion. That's good. So you got the bug then. You feel the fire.
I've got the fire. I'm just getting a day where I can just go play some games now.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You're picking up some reclusians, I heard.
yeah. Even though eating spiders, worthing, they look cool, but I can't be doing all this fast movement shenanigans. I need some big tanky boys. I need some space marines, let's say. So yeah, we're going for some reclusians for now, and we'll
Nice.
see.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, I guess that's it then, right? We will see you, well, hopefully at the next event.
Well,
We'll see how you do.
hopefully, I'm trying to see if we can get a ticket. But if not,
Just turn up.
we might
Don't be
pop a
space. We'll
visit
get you
again
space.
and sprinkle some shenanigans at the event. But anyway, my word of wisdom is give Warcry a chance if you've not played it before, or if you've not really seen it before. I don't know, but my encouragement is it's a really good game, really good rules, better rules than I actually thought reading. It's very in depth. I'm even asleep thinking, yo, if I do this and then activate this, I haven't even played the game yet, and I'm already thinking like this. So it's a great game, great community. It's just a shame they don't
Push it.
Games Workshop don't push it. And
Yep.
I think I'm no business expert, but they don't need to invest a lot into that. They don't need to do a lot, and they will get much more in return than they'll put like 5% in and get 100% back, kind of thing. It's crazy because that's a game waiting just for some love. So yeah, I don't know if they ever do somehow listen to that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm fully on board. So I don't know. You might see some of my shenanigans in the future. Let's see.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, all right. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming here and having a chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you for getting me into the hobby. Well, into the game, I guess.
Yeah, again. It seems like every game we keep pulling you in on.
That's it. We need to stop talking because my bank's not feeling it anymore.
We are single-handedly keeping Games Workshop afloat at the moment.
We are.
All right, dude. Thank you very much. Everyone at home, thank you very much for watching. I've been Itan. This has been Chris, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
This guy knows his stuff.
See you.